Video 30, Changing Properties, Carbohydrates. This is Mrs. G revises food prep. There are three ways that carbohydrates change in food during cooking. They are gelatinization, dextrinization, and caramelization. Gelatinization helps to thicken foods that contain starch, such as sauces, custards, and gravies. When starch granules are first mixed with liquid, they become suspended in it. If you don't stir the liquid, they will sink to the bottom. When the starch granules are heated with water, the bonds between starch molecules start to break, allowing water molecules to enter. As water is absorbed, the starch granules swell in size and soften. Between 62 and 80 degrees, the starch granules burst open and release their starch into the liquid. The release of starch causes the mixture to thicken. How thick the liquid becomes depends on the ratio of starch to liquid in the mixture. The higher the concentration of starch, the thicker the liquid. When it cools, the liquid solidifies and a solid gel can be formed. This is useful for making set desserts like custards and lemon meringue pie filling. Gelatinization also happens when you cook starchy foods like pasta and rice. They swell, soften, and release their starch into the water as they cook. Dextrinization. Dextrinization happens when starch is exposed to dry heat. When starchy foods such as bread or biscuits are cooked with dry heat, such as toasting or baking, the starch molecules in the food break down into smaller molecules called dextrins. This breakdown is called dextrinization, and it gives food a browner colour and crispier texture, as well as a different taste. Think the change between a slice of bread and toast. The longer the food's cooked, the more starch is converted into dextrin, and the darker and crispier the food becomes. Caramelization. Sugar caramelizes when heated. Sugar molecules break down when they reach a high temperature. This causes sugar to turn brown and change flavour. This process is called caramelization. The sugar goes through various stages. The liquid starts runny and has a very sweet taste. If it's heated, it becomes more of a smooth caramel. If it's continually heated, it turns harder, and as it cools, it becomes more like a candy. Caramelized sugar can burn very quickly, turning black, brittle, and bitter to taste. To avoid this, water is often added during the early stages of heating. Caramelization gives desserts such as creme brulee and apple pie extra sweetness. Even savoury foods that contain sugar, like onions, can caramelize. The sugars in the food are broken down and released, turning the food brown and adding sweetness.